Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope everybody had a great spring break. We are going to be looking at our next packet of NTI work, and our first story in there is a fiction story called Ujiji. In the story, it's about a rhinoceros and a group of tick birds, and a new tick bird joining the group. I'm going to be going over our first skill page, and it is the character page. It should look like the one I'm showing you now. And we have talked about character traits before this year. Remember, characters and their traits, they tell us what they think, they feel, how they act, and what they say. So, all those things that the characters do in the story help you know more about them and what motivates them. So, now you're going to be looking at the character Karafu, the rhinoceros, and the tick bird that joins their group. So in the story, you're going to be looking at how Karafu acts at the beginning at first, and then by the end of the story. So how did he change in each of these different parts of the story? So number one, it asks how does Karafu want the tick birds to behave? And behave is another word for how he wants them to act or sound. So, how does he want the tick birds to behave at first? And then at the end of the story, how does he want the tick birds to behave? Number two asks, how does Karafu feel about Ujiji, which is the new tick bird that joins them at the beginning of the story? And then at the end of the story, how does he feel about Ujiji? Number three, how does Karafu make the tick birds feel? So at the beginning of the story, there's good text evidence in there that lets you know how all the tick birds feel about Karafu. And then at the end of the story, how do they feel about him? Number four, does Karafu appreciate the tick birds? Why or why not? So at the beginning of the story, does he appreciate the tick birds and what they do for him? Appreciate, it means to be thankful and know what you have. And then at the end of the story, does he appreciate the tick birds? Why or why not? So remember, when you're answering these, you want to think about what the text says. Go back and look for text evidence to put in your boxes. Make sure these are complete sentences inside your boxes, so that way you're making complete thoughts. At the beginning, you have a drawing conclusion. Remember, conclusion is making an inference based on what you know and what you've read. This would be a great 2.6 paragraph for you to write on another piece of paper. In what ways does Karafu change? So you can talk about that in a paragraph from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So that is all for today's page. And I will be adding each page of our packet like before in a different video each day. In your Google Classroom, underneath your classwork tab, you now have UGG assignments. Tomorrow, your links will be black on here, and it will have the story link where you can go to Storyworks, and it should bring up a page that looks like this. And then if you click read the story right here, it will bring up the pages of the story for you to read there. And to get in here, you can type in the code READ, READ, Hall, HALL, and I have that listed in your description with that link. I also have a sign of vocabulary video for our character traits that we have watched earlier this year. So you have that in there as well. Hope everybody has a great Monday.